Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome to all our friends, comic book friends. Happy New Year.
Yes.
This is Origins Illustrated.
Yeah. 2020. Yeah.
2022. We here.
Or sorry,
We here.
Whoops. I skipped 2 years.
It's our blip. Now.
Exactly. Yeah, we blipped. We blipped from
we
Marvel Universe. main universe. This is your weekly comic live stream podcast discussing everything connected to comic books. I'm your host, one of your hosts. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Clarama.
Oh, and I'm Catherine. Hey, and from Memphis.
Welcome. Yes. Yeah, I guess I should. I'm so rusty. I apologize. Yeah, so I'm an actor, writer, singer, comic book lover. Karama, you want to tell?
Yes, and you're based in LA, just like me.
I'm based in LA, yes.
Yes, also, and I'm a VR developer, designer, product manager.
I'm an AR VR designer based in Memphis, Tennessee, and I create pretty for immersive tech. So,
Cool. All right. Yeah. So we have a lot to get into. We've missed y'all. So we just want to like check in, check out, see like what's going on in the comic book world. We're gonna have like a brief little bit of news because for me, my main news that came out was Saga issue number 55. I have been waiting like you have been waiting. The
Nice.
long awaited, like 19 months long, waited for this issue 55 that I'm not going to say. For those of you who have not caught up on Saga or want to start reading Saga, issue 54 ended on a very intense cliffhanger, like very last page. And then they were like, hey, friends, we're going to go on hiatus. We're going to be back in like maybe like 6 months. Then the pandemic hit. So they went from like, we're going to be out for 6 months to 19 months later. And I have been checking frantically online, when is Saga coming back? And Image Comics released their quick little, like notice saying like, hey, for their 30th anniversary, they are bringing out issue number 55 of Saga. And to catch everybody up who are not familiar with Saga, Saga follows talk about Chloe. This is, if you have not read Saga, if you've not heard about it, this is the one for you. It hits all the buttons. All the buttons. Inclusion. Everybody is included. And it's like fantastical fun.
Yeah. I actually didn't know, this is crazy. I didn't know that they were still making comics. I think I started reading it in 2015, and I think they only had 6, so I assumed that was it. And so this is actually news to me that they actually have been still making Saga.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they have been dropping bombs like with every volume. It has just been like just this amazing ride, so fun and so heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. But
it's definitely on my list.
Please get it. I totally recommend it. I mean, the first 54 issues of Saga told the story of a pair of star-crossed lovers and their child living on the run in the middle of an interplanetary war. The series is one of the most beloved and best-selling comics in recent memory. But in 2018, Vaughn and Staples, it's created by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Vaughn and Staples announced that they were taking a break. Luckily, they made their triumphant return with Saga 55, which is available now. This new issue is an incredible testament to the talents of its creator and the series' strength overall. I tell you what, they came hard. So if you have not gotten your issue of this series, your new one, go out and get it.
We're 48 series behind.
I have to read all 55, so but I've heard nothing but great things about it, so it's definitely something I want to read. So
it's so good.
It's very legendary for sure. I feel like that's the one staple that, like, if you read nothing else, then that's it. And that was the thing I think got me back into comics in my adult life.
Really?
Saga recommendation my friend showed me, and it's funny because it got the way that I discovered it was because I think it was issue I want to say 4 or 5, where like the cover is I forget her name, but she's a Black woman with a white suit.
Gwendolyn.
What's her name?
Yes.
Gwendolyn. Yeah.
Yes.
You remind me of
I cosplay her.
Yes.
I cosplay her at Comic-Con, and I got so many points. People were. I was actually on the Image, on their webpage. Like I made their like Twitter page. I got photos with the creators. It was awesome because she's amazing. She's a great character.
Yeah.
What else did I get? So this is what I'm reading. Like I just went to the comic store, picked up a couple of things. Daredevil is now Elektra in this brand new version retelling of Daredevil, and she has taken over our Devil of Hell's Kitchen. I have not read this yet, but I am very excited to see what Elektra does under the mantle of Daredevil.
This generation is so lucky.
Right?
Again, this generation is just so lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, representation on the cover and like,
right?
Yeah.
So many things. Like, what else did I get? Oh, I got a variant of Silk. You know, there's Silk, and then I'm assuming that's Miles. I haven't read it yet, but these are the first issues of the new Silk that's coming out.
Wow.
And this one, which is a new Image is my favorite. I just want to let you know, of the indie comics publishers, Image is the way to go. This one is a new series called Rain. First issue just dropped, and I read it in the store. It's bonanza. Like I tell you, like it's created by Joe Hill, who is, son of Stephen King, but he also created Lock and Key, which is another one of my favorite series. So yeah, I'm all in on that new series. So that's what I'm reading right now.
With that said, for those who are new to the show, because I think we're also on we're on YouTube now, right?
Or yeah, YouTube and Facebook Live. So hello, Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, for those of you who are new, we are a podcast that likes to talk about comics and everything, all things comics. So this goes into movies, TVs, all that. So, and all of us have various experiences or expertises in different areas. But yeah, just setting that tone up for all our new audience members on these new platforms.
And tell your friends. So when you can tell your friends, like, this is what I saw. This is the new podcast I saw. So thanks for that shout out, Chloe.
Okay.
Let's see. Anybody else want to jump in? Catherine, did you want to talk about like anything about Peacemaker, like James Gunn? Did you hear about the announcement that James Gunn dropped about a new spinoff of Suicide Squad that he's working on?
HBO?
Yeah. So
there's another spinoff from that, or you're talking about this?
He's working on a second spinoff from the Suicide Squad, because Peacemaker is a spinoff from Suicide Squad. So has not been officially greenlit by HBO Max yet, but he does have something in the pipelines that he's hoping to get out there, and I have no doubt he'll be successful.
Who do you guys think it is?
I think it's Polka Dot Man. I think it's a prequel to Polka Dot Man, but I think it could be like a slice of life King Shark, but I really think it's going to be a character that had like a lot of like backstory. So
interesting. I guess I feel like it should be King Shark because there was just so much more material, and I feel like Polka Dot would be in it. I feel like if they were smart, they would make it off of King Shark, period. Because I feel like we always get to see King Shark, but he's always like the side supporting character. Like
he's my favorite. I love King Shark.
Yeah. And then now
he did steal the show.
Yeah. So I feel like at this point we all are like thirsty for him. So I feel like they should give him his own show. I feel like that would start a whole new like legacy spin. I think. I love
toys.
Yeah.
So many toys.
Yeah.
I think it'll be. I mean, if I could have my choice, Ratcatcher's daughter.
Mm-hmm. I feel like she gets a movie though. I feel like they wouldn't. I don't know if it's TV show for justice. I mean, if they did, it's fine, but I would be disappointed. Or if they turned her into a TV show spinoff, I think she was movie material for sure.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I totally am down for Nanawe because you get Sylvester Stallone. What's he doing right now? He can do it.
It's an interesting thing about like with King Shark and now with the Peacemaker show, and I can't remember the actor's name, but his nickname is Diebeard on Peacemaker, but he is the mocap actor for King Shark.
Oh, the guy who plays Economos, the one who is the tech guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's a mocap for King Shark.
Wait, that's the guy that's in Eternals.
No. The big guy in. Have you watched Peacemaker yet?
I can pull up my background and probably show it.
He
That's how I do about my shows. I told you what I have fatigue around.
That guy next to the blonde.
Yeah.
So he's the mocap actor for King Shark. So he wears like this little suit and they mocap him. So
that's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm down for that. James Gunn was on the Deadline has a podcast called Hero Nation, and he dropped these little tidbits about the new spinoff series he's working on, and he also said that Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is supposed to come out May 25th of 2023, he said that that's going to be the last installment with the crew that we know of the Guardians. So I thought that was very interesting. And if you have anybody out there, if you want just something to listen to, this Hero Nation, they have some amazing interviews, and they're only like 20 minutes, and they're with amazing creators. So just I'm not trying to plug them, but I thought it was really interesting. And James Gunn is one of them.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Like, especially 20 minutes. It's not like,
it's
all right,
like
2
18
hours.
Yeah, they're like no more than like 25 minutes. I thought that was really cool. I was like, okay, that's my attention span. I can listen to this.
Yeah, that's great.
And then let's see, just the last bit of news before we jump in that I thought was interesting. Did you guys ever watch the Vampire Diaries at all? And it's not a comic book, but I think it might be now. It's a book series.
Probably.
But yeah,
if Buffy can get a series,
it's probably a comic, exactly. Like but Julie Plec and Kevin Williamson are creating a new series based on a comic book from Aftershock Comics about their hit comic Dead Day. And that is created by Ryan Parrott. And it caught my eye because I love Julie Plec and Kevin Williamson, Vampire Diaries. She's also known for the originals and legacies. He's known for Scream. Kevin Williamson worked with her on the Vampire Diaries. And he's also known for the Scream franchise, so many other, like, and I'm totally blanking right now. But this series, let me know what you guys think about this, is based on, was published March 2021, and it sees people return from the grave. Some see loved ones, some have unfinished business, or just mess with the living. It was well received and has already been given an order for a second volume of the comic book of the series from Aftershock. So I don't know if you guys read the comic book Revival from Image, which Revival is one of my favorites. I think you guys would like that one too. It's definitely like it hits all the checklist. And it's just such a really interesting series. And it takes this return from the grave in a certain way, like down a different pathway. This series sounds to me a lot like the TV series The Returned, Revival, and I'm a little curious. I mean, I'll show up for Julie Plec and Kevin Williamson. I really will. But what makes this different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything. Huh?
Is it a superhero comic? No, just like a vampire.
I mean, it's just like Day of the Dead. It's like, I think it's going to take a potentially comedic look at The Walking Dead. Because The Walking Dead is so serious. You know what I mean? Like usually when you get a zombie show, it's like a post-apocalyptic, somebody's trying to fight somebody to save the world and defeat zombies. So I think this would be interesting that it's comedy. Even, like Manifest. Manifest is not a comic book. People come back from the quote unquote dead. So I think it'll be interesting.
Sounds like it might be like a zombie land and potentially even a Warm Bodies type. I don't know if anybody watched Warm Bodies, but yeah, different takes on like zombie films.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm all into zombies. You know what I mean? Like I like that kind of stuff. So I'll show up for it.
Yeah, I'm a big monster nerd. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
So what'd you say? You're gonna skip?
I like Presse and I liked Underworld. I can do that stuff, but I just like the superhero. I'm into the hero story. So like if it's not centered around like a hero of good versus evil, and then like on top of that, I think I'm probably less inclined. But I believe you.
That's fair.
It sounds
totally fair. Totally fair. All right, well, let's move on into some heroes. You wanna lead us in, Chloe? Because we starting off on Spider-Man: No Way Home. You got some thoughts?
Oh, forgive me. Where's the rundown? I don't think I have it.
Oh, I didn't. There.
Maybe I do see it. Maybe I do see it.
In there.
Dang, this whole setup is legit now.
Here, okay. I put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to go first while I find the spot where we're at?
Yeah, so I didn't pull any information of like the
Oh, do you
credits
want to go into
or
it?
like
We're in the main topic.
I just want to go into it.
Okay, let's go into
listen,
it.
I feel like our audience
This is a huge segment.
saw Spider-Man No Way Home. They know who. Do you want to like? I can
We can
find
still say
out.
spoilers.
We can still say
warning.
spoilers. We can say, if you haven't seen it already, friends, that's your fault. It's your fault.
Yeah.
It's $1 billion franchise at this point. Like,
Yeah, or they're waiting for till Disney Plus drops it. So
yeah, that's true. You're right. That's fine.
Wait, Courtney,
You're
are you
being safe. You're being. I'm frozen.
I see
Yeah.
Frozen. Catherine, do you see her?
yeah,
Okay,
she's come back now. Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Spider-Man was good. Oh well, I mean, okay. What are your guys' thoughts on Spider-Man? I saw it in 4D about a couple weeks ago. I had to wait,
Nice.
so I wanted to watch it, but that was like I think it came out like middle of December, and
It came out December 17th. Yep.
17th.
Directed by John Watts.
What'd you say?
I said directed by John Watts. I looked it up.
And it was like at the height where everybody around me caught Omicron. And so
Oh no.
I was exposed like at least 5 different times within a week. So I was like, okay, I'm not leaving. Somehow I managed to keep testing negative. But at the same time, like I knew people who had just tested positive who went to go see the movie and like all that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm not here for that. So I waited till like when I knew things would die down, and I went during the middle of the day, and I saw it in 4D, and it was my first time seeing a movie in 4D, and yeah, it was interesting experience. It did not disappoint for me at all.
Yeah. I saw it in Florida, so I went to a convention during that time and was in an IMAX theater in Florida, but I also magically did not have like I tested negative. But anyway, outside of that, I thought I was entertained. At the end of the movie, I'm like, this is cute. I was entertained, but I guess for me, I wasn't like blown away. And I think it's multiple factors, but a lot of it had to do with, and it's my fault for doing this. I feel like I knew the movie a year and a half before it released. And so I watched it, I'm like, oh, okay, yep, all this happened, yep, this happened, and that happened. I'm like, okay, cool.
From the trailers, you mean?
Trailers, talks, discussions, because I listen to people talking about like the film behind the scenes and all this stuff. And usually, for the most part, it's been just more guessing and speculation, but I feel like this movie had insane amounts of leaks. I think this is probably the craziest case of leaks for any films I've ever heard about. And so I heard all like this stuff, and then I watched that trailer, which I regretted after watching the trailer. I'm like, I shouldn't have watched this trailer. I feel like I know the whole movie. And then I watched it, I'm like, yep, but I was entertained. It's a nice reflection of the Sony Spider thing. Well, Sony live action Spider-Verse thing. So
I will agree with you. Let me caveat what I said, and because I did think it did not disappoint, but I agree with you that I was not blown away to that level that I kind of was expecting to be blown away. But I was like, they did good. But I think I didn't know why that was the case, but I think that's probably it. It was because I already kind of went in expecting certain things, and yeah, it was what I expected.
Let's see. Where do I start? First of all, I like you. I think because this was such a long gestating movie, they just kept dropping trailer after trailer, and I stopped watching trailers because of that reason. The exact same reason, Catherine, when you talked about, I was like, this is gonna get ruined for me, and so I went in. You know, you hear all these things before, and I went in like. I died. I went in, I guess, Mission Impossible style with like 2 masks, 8-0, and trying to like make myself as small as possible. And like, thank goodness I tested negative as well. But there was a lot of hype. Everybody was just hyping. It's the best Spider-Man ever. It's the best Marvel movie ever. But so you don't really listen. I didn't listen to any of the podcasts, or I deliberately avoided articles for this exact reason, because I already just had word of mouth hype. And so I went in with this word of mouth hype, and I had a good time. I had fun. It was okay, but I had problems. I had a lot of problems.
Yes.
I had a lot of problems, ladies.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, first of all, the main problem.
Are we going into spoiler territory?
Spoilers.
Yes,
spoilers. Run away.
We're going into
Spoilers.
it.
Swing away if you have to. Get your web swinging out. Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
exactly.
right. Yeah.
We'll give you 10 extra seconds. And maybe 3. Okay, you're good. So the main problem for me, Peter Parker, goes to Doctor Strange and asks him to make everybody forget that he's Spider-Man. Okay, you have the Sorcerer Supreme, who, okay, caveat, he's not actually Sorcerer Supreme because he blipped for 5 years, and Wong is technically the dude. He's that guy. You have ultimate unlimited power, and you ask him to make everybody forget you're Spider-Man instead of making them forget Mysterio said you're Spider-Man. Just make them forget Mysterio.
Yeah.
Just make them forget Mysterio. Okay? Why do you want to erase everybody's mind? That's one. Number 2, you need to tell me. Peter Parker can't get into college. Peter Parker, who in the last one, Far From Home, was Tony Stark's hand-picked guy to take over and work at Stark Industries. And you mean to tell me, A, he's broke, B, he can't get into college, and C, you can't call Pepper Potts and say, hey, Pep, can I get a write-up? Can I get a letter of recommendation? Can you put a call in?
I heard there was a reason like that Pepper Potts thing because of the Mysterio. Sorry, I almost said Mephisto, but Mysterio because of the Mysterio thing, and Stark Technologies, and like in terms of physical evidence around the scene of the crime, or not crime, the scene of the death.
Yeah.
Pepper Potts I think it would make her case, like Stark Industries case, like worse in terms of the whole like Spider-Man accused of murder thing, and that was like the reason why she didn't give him a recommendation. But yes, I agree with like the whole. There should have been at least
cared. Do we think Tony Stark would have cared? He'd have bought a university. He would have bought a university for Parker to go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's just like, but
that part wasn't believable either, especially the way that our system works. It is very much who you know. Like if people like Trump or whatever, like controversial people would get in, especially because they're controversial.
Because of that.
Yeah.
And he's an Avenger who brought all of y'all back. All the people that said you can't get in college. Yo, he was on the team that brought you jerks back, and you're gonna tell me you're not gonna take this kid into college?
Yeah. There's a lot of like weird potholes that I'm like, how does this work? How does this just like? I feel like things just kind of happened. Like there was no just things just happening coincidentally, and it like this doesn't feel earned all the way, at least for me in some cases. So
they tried to make it so hard to make him disprivileged. They tried so hard. And that it's so hard. It just felt it deviated too much from reality.
Fell so flat.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that deviated from reality, even just how magic works. So, like even like the
oh my gosh, how magic works.
Yeah, and how like just I'm gonna wait until we get to this part, but I'm like, how did this? I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'll just go along with what you're doing. Like nostalgia, cool, but I have questions.
Okay, so. You have a question? Do you have a thought, Chloe? Because I was about to go in on my second problem.
Okay, no, keep going on the problems. We'll do the happy stuff at the last 20-30 minutes.
Okay. We'll start. I'm gonna come with the heavy hitters. Okay, my next problem. Aunt May, and I'm not talking about her death. I'm talking about her life. Okay, Aunt May, you call Peter and you tell him that a random dude dressed in green, looks pitiful, and you have to help him. You don't know him. We're just coming off of Thanos snapped away half of the world, and you got a villain sitting in your kitchen talking about I'm misunderstood from another universe. And Peter, we have to help him. We just have to help him. I mean, this is what we do. Isn't this what we do? No, that's not what you do. What? When have you ever said this is what we do, Aunt May?
I feel like that whole scene was designed to be like silly and him eating donuts, but yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, all right, like, hey, Green Goblin eating donuts and being like a weird person, yay!
And then so Peter's like, I'm gonna help all these villains who legitimately did terrible things in their universes with their Peter Parkers, but we're gonna help them because Scooby-Doo gang is here to save the day. What?
I have to take on this too. So when I was watching this, and there were some like strong signals. I think what they were juxtaposing this to, or the metaphor around it, that I think was a little bit problematic. And I think that's what you're picking on, is like, this doesn't make sense. I think it was catering to the narrative around like immigration and like, you know, speaking to like how a lot of people are very xenophobic. And we're at this stage, you know, especially in the last 4 years, where we are taking in refugees and all of that, but the how do you call it, the stereotype or the stigma around that is, well, they're coming in and bringing crime and they are not they're coming from bad areas and they're gonna like be criminals here and make our lives inconvenienced. And I feel like they were, in a weird way, in a subliminal way, trying to preach the values of, even though that they're coming in because they need help and they're lost, and we do need to our morals as Americans is to take them in. They're hungry, the poor, the blah blah blah, and to work with them. Because then what kind of validated it,
even though it was a extra white old man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, yeah. But validated that whole notion that I was subliminally getting, like was the Statue of Liberty. That's where all the climax of everything happened.
You know what? That is an excellent point, because the whole time I was like, why is the Statue of Liberty carrying Captain America's shield? When did that happen? That is so interesting that you said that. That is an excellent point, because the Statue of Liberty is about bring me your sick, your poor, your whatever. We'll take them all in. That is so. I did not even pick up on that.
Full circle New York, full circle Spiderman New York. Oh, yep.
Yep, and it's problematic because of that, because they try to inflate the immigrants with villains, literal villains,
and you're literally
different other realities. It's like that's not it. That wasn't.
That's not it. Mm-hmm. But you're proving their point. That was such a good point, Chloe. That was a solid take that I did not see.
Yes.
Rose glasses gone.
Very good.
I was like, are they? No. The statue. No.
Wow.
So I think that's That to the surface point of it, I think that's why it doesn't make sense. Like, why would they try to help them? That's the only reason I could see it, is because they were trying to draw a link to immigration and American ideals.
But it falls flat with everything.
It fell so flat, because when Aunt May died, you guys, I felt nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, when she hit that whole, like, first of all, I was like, wow, Aunt May's done. And then she stood up and I was like, she lived?
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Like, she's not like bleeding.
She's not bleeding or anything. But then she hit us with the like, with great power comes great responsibility. She did.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah. She just said the deadline.
Yeah.
And then she died. And I was like, well, okay, let's move on. Yeah. And he did give some good emotional moments. I give it to Tom Holland. Like, he sold it. He sold it.
Delivered.
He sold it.
That, I think, saved the movie from becoming like just a little too formulaic and too surface. Like it's it was really strong comedy, really strong bubble, but it was very formulaic, and so that's why it was formulaic until it got to his parts. And the way that Tom emoted those particular scenes is what gave it the gravity at the right at that level. At the bar.
It hit that moment. Yeah. Like, I shed no tears.
Yeah.
But I did feel it. I felt it in my tummy a little bit, because he was giving good. He was giving good cry. I appreciate it. I felt for him. I didn't care that Aunt May died, when really that should have hit me as an audience member who has watched her in these two movies, and then like in Civil War. I think she popped into Civil War. Yeah, she was. That was the first time we saw her. It was the first time we saw him. And I wanted to feel more, and Marvel is so good at hitting me in the feels. Like Endgame, I don't know how either of you felt, but the latter part of Endgame, it got me several times. Several times I got a little misty. Had a little single tear.
I was crying.
But like, what you say?
I was crying from beginning to end when Black Panther and Okoye and whatever walked through.
Came through the circles. I just got chills. The circles opened up, dude.
Everybody said.
Yeah, Endgame was that chill part. That was my favorite part of the whole movie was that whole battle sequence. Everything.
The whole thing. Yeah. Like when Captain America's like face mask is like half cut off, and you know he tightens his shield. It's like piece of shield, and then you just hear Sam say, "On your left." I was done. I was like hysterical.
Yeah,
hysterical. I was like,
I wrote that line.
Yeah, it was
ugly cried.
It was really good, but yeah, like this
didn't hit me. This didn't hit me there at all.
Yeah, and this okay, and you know, also too, like especially when they juxtaposed it, and I think what made it even worse, they juxtaposed it when they brought like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Mans. I don't even remember them. Like that's how. Like I he's actually my favorite depiction of Spider-Man, but the movies were just like, okay, they were good entertainment, but I can't necessarily like they didn't imprint on me. Whereas the first one, Tobey Maguire, you know, obviously wouldn't ever be my first pick for Peter Parker or Spider-Man. I think maybe because it was the first Spider-Mans, those movies, the first two, imprinted really heavily.
Yes, they did.
Seeing him come in was like everything, and then
it was yeah.
And I think when you get that level of like that emotional level of you were the imprint of Spider-Man, and then in this movie, like wrapped up in this movie, it's like you could see how this Tom Holland's, God bless, like he's a great Spider-Man. It still kind of pales in comparison to like that real memory of Spider-Man and our first introduction to him, and like given like because Spider-Man, I argue is not even arguable that Spider-Man 2 at least is definitely considered still to this day one of the top Spider-Man movies. And I think Miles Morales is up there too. I agree. I think Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire is my favorite. So like
Into the Spider-Verse, I'm with Catherine. That's my favorite Spider-Man thus far.
Spider-Verse.
But Spider-Man 2 is tippy top. It's up there.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I wouldn't give Miles Morales that one is only because the privilege of Tobey Maguire being the first one. I think because that was the first one for me. That's why how do you call it? Technically, I would give it number one. But I agree with you that Miles Morales is probably the best one of all.
It's just the best story telling, I think, in terms of, especially given that. Okay, that's another problem. That this was basically just a live action white Spider-Man version of Into the Spider-Verse, not done as well as Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
So
I also feel like Into the Spider-Verse does a better job of even referencing like other it's not so as in your face. I mean, I understood why they like all that and reference Spider-Man, all that stuff, but I feel like Spider-Verse does a better job of referencing things than this one does. Because there's holes in some of the things they reference.
But I do think I agree with Chloe in the terms of like seeing the two Spider-Man come in I thought the way that they brought them in was great. Andrew Garfield is arguably the better adult Spider-Man actor. Like Tobey Maguire was fun, and Andrew Garfield, his Spider-Man movies were delivered with a level of weight that I don't think Tobey Maguire's had, and it's just due to the caliber of what Andrew Garfield is capable of as an artist. And I loved seeing him get his redemption moment with Gwen Stacy and him being able to save Peter's MJ. That to me, that was a moment that got me a little misty because of his performance and his just deep need to have that break open. Though I enjoy his performance as Spider-Man, I loved him in this. He bothered me as Spider-Man in his earlier two films because he's sitting in high school looking clearly like a 35-year-old man.
That's the same thing with Tobey Maguire though. All the kids they all look older.
But Tobey Maguire in the first one, he looked like a high school senior nerd. He did. And then they moved him into life. They moved him into college and like adulthood real fast because they knew that man. They knew he was a man. But Andrew Garfield was sitting up in like, junior year with a beanie on, with practically a goatee and a beard. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just like, I can't. But I love him. So
yeah,
I
think
it.
Peter Parker aside, yeah, I think probably arguably Tom Holland was probably the best Peter Parker then. But I think for Spider-Man, where the reason why I liked Andrew Garfield better as a Spider-Man, because I feel like when I watched him, I actually felt like I was looking at the comics or watching the TV show, the cartoon show, because his moves were more Spider-Man-ish, and he actually did the thing where when he was fighting, he was very quippy and funny, and I feel like that was very true to teenager like, where he's like in his moments and he's like kind of like in these stress moments still like kind of how do you call it, not awkward, like he's making fun of the villains he's fighting, or he's like saying things that are like comedic. It's just kind of funny, like how do I say it? I know it's like not the jokes he was making jokes while he was fighting. Yeah, but that's how he was. That's how Spider-Man was. He was always funny when he was fighting.
Yeah, in the cartoon.
Yeah, in the cartoon and in the comics. Like even when you read it, he'll say things like make these weird comments like, "Oh, whoa!" Like it just kind of takes you out of the like fighting situation, which I feel like Tobey Maguire didn't do. He was just kind of serious.
No, yeah.
So Andrew Garfield to me was true to the comic. And in terms of stylistically, how he moved, how he fought, and his personality. As Spider-Man, but yeah, Tom Holland just wasn't there really. Like I think they tried to make him like that, but he was not that cool about it. And
you mean like, Tobey Maguire?
No, Tom Holland.
You don't think Tom Holland was there with his quips and stuff?
He was there with his quips, but it wasn't. He's not doing it in a cool way. It is kind of like slightly annoying. It's not like it's like a little bit like read the room, whereas. As Andrew Garfield and the comic is more like he created the vibe of the room and to make it like that. And so I think Tom Holland's fault.
I think that is what you're pointing out is the reason that Spider-Man No Way Home ended the way that it did, in the fact that the MCU Spider-Man is arguably a team-oriented Spider-Man. His introduction into being a superhero is having a team. So you're in a team of heavy hitter, like just sarcasm, like university. You know what I mean? Like they slay. And so he really has had his jokes have been setups for other people, or other people have set him up. And so I think that's why he doesn't really do a lot of clips, because he hasn't really had a need to. You know what I mean? Like he's just been part of something. You've always had an Avenger in a Spider-Man or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They made him,
and I think that's why they pulled him out. That's why they pulled him out, so we can get him to the Tobey version and the Andrew version where it's just Spider-Man. I think that's what they were trying to accomplish.
A live-action Spider-Verse. Yeah, but yeah.
My favorite moment to have taken more risk with the movie. I feel like because I think the Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen or Spider, you know what I'm saying? Like I think would have taken this to a over. I think because we already expect like maybe if this wasn't for the pandemic, because during the pandemic I think has just made it so that like leaks are just now constantly possible, whereas maybe before that wasn't the case. So I think obviously if we didn't have those leaks of the Spider-Mans being in it, this probably would have been a blowout like crazy.
Yeah.
Had that impact, but because that didn't, I would have loved to have seen like something by surprise, which was like a Miles Morales or something where they had to take a real risk. Because I feel like Miles Morales took a risk into the Spider-Verse with Porky the Pig, like the
Spider Pig,
like that was a huge risk. That could have been really bad, but they really made it work, and that's what took it over to the top. But I wish they like that.
They punked out a little bit. I was really, we talked about that in Crosstalk. I was really disappointed that of all of the bits, like you got Jamie Foxx saying, "Oh man, you're from Brooklyn. I really thought you'd be black." I was really annoyed by that line because I'd rather you not say anything. I'd rather you not even address it than give me that half-ass attempt.
That also doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for because Jamie Foxx said that, and even just looking at Jamie Foxx in the Spider-Man films, it makes no sense why he's even there, because he doesn't know who Spider-Man is. So
he doesn't, and yet now he knows.
I think they tried
to make him cool, and it's like, why?
I feel like they tried to emphasize that, oh yeah, this guy's black, and so he has to say things like, oh, I wish he was black, and like he has to like, I don't know. I just feel like they tried to overemphasize like this kind of like unnecessary, I don't know, hammer-fisted like, hey, yeah, I'm, because his personality changed from even just the other movie, but
yeah, completely. And given the fact that you have introduced Donald Glover as the Prowler, you have introduced him. So okay, maybe you can't get Donald Glover, maybe you haven't cast a live action Miles, but you could have in the end credit scene, rather than giving me that like, I'm sorry, broke ass Doctor Strange teaser trailer. I didn't need that. Instead of giving me that, you could have given me
Venom.
Well, I understand the Venom. I understand if you give me Miles Morales, just a kid in the black Miles suit with a backpack, some like cool kicks on, and a blue jean jacket, and then he like blips away into his other universe, I would have been so happy, because it would have justified that dumbass statement that Jamie Foxx made, and then you just dropped it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the Venom, because now we have Venom in the MCU. Now we have that there. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like,
that's a good call out. That needs to be elaborated on. Like, that comment that Jamie Foxx said should have been somehow linked to Miles Morales in the thing, and that would have made it that would have made the comment actually additive to the film.
It would have made it work. Because I thought for sure they're gonna do it. I was sitting waiting with bated breath because of all of the fact. You got the Toby, you got Andrew Garfield, you know what I mean? Like, you have mention of Gwen Stacy, you had mention of Tobey Maguire's Mary Jane MJ. You know what I mean? You had so many mentions, and yet you can't just give me Miles. I was like, okay, that's whatever. You gave me Daredevil, so I'll take that. You know what I mean? I love that they introduced Daredevil into the universe, into the MCU. That made that whole movie worthwhile. I'm not gonna lie.
I guess because like I heard speculation about it, I wasn't really surprised by that part, but I also am not a huge fan of the Daredevil show.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, it's like cool. He's in here. He's connected. It's a good thing for the fans, like to reintroduce, to show, hey, Daredevil is in here. But yeah, I
did think that they were going to bring him in, given the fact they introduced Kingpin into Hawkeye. Spoiler. Sorry if you haven't watched Hawkeye. I spoiled it for you, and I apologize.
Oh no!
But again, you really should have watched it at this point.
Especially with
but given the fact that I know people were like, we hate her. No, they love me. Given the fact that they introduced Kingpin in there, I was hoping that we were going to get some kind of nod to Matt Murdock. But the fact that we actually got Charlie Cox, I was really happy about that.
Yeah, it made the most sense. If like thinking about it, he needed a lawyer. What lawyer are you going to get? It's going to be Daredevil. It's going to be somebody that we know. So,
though, tiny sad face. We saw Daredevil. We know he's in town. We know he's like down the street. You mean to tell me you couldn't get Charlie for an extra day? He couldn't just show up and help Peter out?
No. See, that's like why I feel like their use of referencing is just kind of like, all right, checklist, he's in here, and it's not as explored as it could be. And that's why I think Spider-Verse does a better job of using references, because it's a part of that established universe within this movie. It's like, all right, we got this guy, here's this person, here's these people you know, all right, goodbye. Or name drop Miles Morales, all right, we're mentioning him, bye. And I think they could have elaborated more on all those points. So that
Did
as well
name
as
drop Miles Morales.
I mean, not name drop him, but like he's referenced.
They just referenced Jamie Foxx just referenced him.
Oh, he did
like
reference
checklist. Yeah,
he said, "You're from Brooklyn. I thought you'd be black." That's
I didn't realize
Miles Morales.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a reference to him. I just thought that was a random comment that he made. Like Spider-Man should be.
No, that was his Miles. That was their Miles nod.
Okay.
Just had a lot of issues with Jamie Foxx in this movie. It was just kind of weird. this.
The villains were, they just were. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Green Goblin and Doc Ock were the only two that had a full arc. They were the only two that had an honest arc, and I appreciated the storyline and the attention you gave them. Still think it was unnecessary, but
Jamie Foxx was the black cool character to make the add humor or whatever, it's coolness to the factor, but that's about it.
Yeah. That's the point I was trying to make about the sorry, and I just threw in like because the lion thing black is more like he was the stereotypical cool sorry.
I get supporting character. I like okay, so with all that said, I mean there's probably a lot more that we can hit on.
We're just nitpicking. We're totally nitpicking. We had fun. We had fun. It's just that
one
writing could have been stronger.
I still have an
I gotta find one too.
I still have an issue with like how the other three they just kind of show up. I mean, it's cool that they're there, but they just I feel like there should have been more explanation like as to why they were there. They were just like, all right, we were looking for you, we're here. But I'm glad they're there. That's all. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll say that I was disappointed, and that when Tom Holland was like, I love that he was mentioned like, oh, I've worked in a team, and and they're like, what, you work in a team and Avengers, blah blah. That's funny. I wasn't expecting him to say Avengers was a team that he learned how to work with. I thought he was going to say MJ and his best friend because they've been a team in the movie, and to me that would have been more inclusive. To like anybody could be a team, like when you're working together, you don't have to be a superhero. And so I thought that was like when he said Avengers, I was on Avengers. I was like, oh, so you don't think you're
well? Here's the thing: Ned and MJ didn't really do anything. Like, and they did the most in this movie. They did the most in this movie. No way in Far From Home. Ned, the first two, Ned has just been his fun friend. He just wants to take pictures. He just wants to know all the scoop. He's really done nothing. But be Peter's good friend.
Yeah.
MJ finds out in Far From Home, at the end of Far From Home, and she gets shot at a little bit. But this one in the latter half is the first time they've ever actually been involved. Like Ned with the, he gets the ring from Doctor Strange and it's like, yeah, people said I have powers, and he's helped there. This is the first movie they've actively helped.
Yeah. Do you think that they're going to be in any? I feel like the way that they closed it out, like it's like the best friend and Zendaya are no longer going to be in the franchise. What do you guys think is going to like? What do you think?
I think they will.
I think they'll be in there, and I think Ned could potentially be Hobgoblin since he doesn't know who Peter Parker is, and he probably will end up dating MJ because just how they like ended off the MJ and Ned just sitting next to each other, and there's like I don't know, like everyone's like they're friends, but they don't have Peter there, and like there's none of that Peter history.
I would love him as Hobgoblin because it ties into the fact that Peter's best friend, would have been the son of the Green Goblin, and I think that's a great callback. That's awesome.
Wait,
because that
but Hobgoblin isn't technically, Hobgoblin is different than the Green Goblin, but I would accept it.
Yeah, and this one like
go ahead.
So I was saying that like I think Ned is going to be the Hobgoblin because now remember when Ned's like, oh, I will never betray you because we're friends, but because because they don't remember Peter Parker, that removes that whole element. So I think he's going to, somehow go bad. I think, and I also think he's going to date MJ just the way they position them at the end.
See, I thought he was going to be a sorcerer. I thought he was going to end up like working with like Wong or
something. That's
like
right.
That.
He has powers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was able to pull up a portal he was able to make the ring work, which that was a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait,
I would love for that to happen.
I thought we were gonna see him kind of like training with Wong a little bit.
Yeah. His mom and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man have some kind of relationship in the first movie, but I couldn't remember. Do you guys remember?
Whose mom?
The Ned's mom. Remember when Tobey Maguire comes into their home and he sees his mom and they have like a look at each other, and I think they were connected in Tobey Maguire's movies in like some cameo scene or something.
Oh really? I don't know. I didn't recognize that. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. To check
I think there's something there, but let me go back after we watch the movies. But I think she was in the Tobey Maguire movies.
My last problem, my last nitpick is you ended the movie the same way that you ultimately almost the way you began it, like, oh, Peter, I want everybody to forget me. Okay, but no. I don't want Aunt May to forget me. Oh, I don't want MJ to forget me. Oh, I don't want these people to forget me. I don't want anybody to forget me. So then at the very end, Doctor Strange, so everybody's got to forget you. Even the Avengers. I'm not even gonna know who you are. Seriously? Doctor Strange? You can't write in that the Avengers know me? You can't write that in. You can't write in that you know me? You writing the spell? Yeah. I don't understand. Okay. So basically, we didn't need this movie. You just could have went and did the whole thing the way you planned to originally in the first 20 minutes, and we would have been done. Okay.
We did need the multiverse. Cool. I did need to see Tobey Maguire.
I think it could have happened in a. I think it could have.
But I'm glad.
I think it could have happened in a smarter way, like instead of
so smart,
like, because it feels like it happened in a really silly, like, oh, like I'm having problems, I can't get into college, so everyone has to forget my identity and like life problems, and I'm like, that could have happened. Even the
first world white boy problems.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me MJ and Ned couldn't get in on affirmative action? While we still got it.
Yeah.
They had to Scooby-Doo it up.
Like, that's such a weird thing. Oh, you're best friends with this person who's controversial, so we can't, even though you're at the top of your class and would great for our diversity.
The valedictorian.
Yeah.
It can make sense.
But okay.
Yeah. I think like
but okay.
I had another qualm at the end, but I kind of like I was looking at another video and it answered it, but it still bothers me, even though I know there's a way that they're answering it, is the whole everyone forgets who Peter Parker is. So does that mean he has a social security number? Does that I don't know.
I thought that too. How did he get an apartment? How did he get an apartment?
Yeah, how does that work? I mean, I know they're alluding to everyone mentally forgot him, so there's still physical elements of it.
Yeah, mental and emotional.
Well, I think I think that's gonna be like, because I think they know it's a white male playing this character. I think there's some guilt around this, and it's hard to continue moving this franchise forward in today's world where like we're getting all simultaneously fatigued from this. And so I think this is the way that they can introduce him again without any of those privileges to like make him relatable, I guess. Because I feel like there's this.
Oh, he's still gonna be Tom Holland. He's still gonna be a white boy.
I mean, yeah, but
he's signed on for like 3 more movies.
Yeah. They try to make him. Yeah, they removed all, I guess, some of the qualms that people had with him being associated with like Iron Man and all that stuff. So now he makes his own suits, and he's broke, and he knows no one, and he's like more serious. I guess serious-ish.
Yeah.
Whatever version of that it will be with this Spider-Man.
And Peter Parker was always that, especially in the olden days, where like as much as you could, when white privilege, we didn't know what that was as a society. So like you can make that work back then. But like now that you can't, I think that's what they're trying to like bring him back to. Like you have to give him everything, and so we see everything, and now you take it away. And arguably that could be harder, coming back, going from 0 to 1 after you've lost all of it, versus never having it to begin with, which is you're from New York, okay? Like everyone like couldn't welcome that, and you have privilege on top of that. So it's like I feel like that's the only way that they can make this work going forward.
Yeah. Yes. So I guess we'll
especially with Miles Morales out.
Yeah, I think now
you gotta really earn it.
I'm really curious now about what the new Into the Spider-Verse is going to be, given that
I think Doctor Strange and Into the Spider-Verse are going to be connected, and I think they're going to partially introduce Miles Morales in Doctor Strange movie.
I really hope they do Multiverse of. I hope they're saving him from Multiverse of Madness. I don't know. I mean, given the fact that Sony is really trying to pull back all their Spider properties.
Yeah. I would like to see I don't know. It might be silly, but there is a way they could do this intelligently. I would like to see I guess the animated kind of a Space Jam-ish way where, since even in Into the Spider-Verse movie, every time that Miles Morales goes into the different worlds for this upcoming sequel, the style changes. So I'm curious when they do introduce Miles Morales, will the style I don't know, but they probably won't do that. I just thought that might be interesting.
That would be interesting.
It would
So
be. Yeah.
with the few minutes that we have left, like, where do you place this movie in all of the Spider-Man movies? Like, how do you rank it?
Oh, all the Spider movies?
Hmm.
Would you say it makes top 5?
Definitely above Spider-Man 3 because Tobey Maguire dancing has never been my
Everything is
favorite.
above Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Everything is above Spider-Man 3. Every single thing in every single movie is above Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I definitely say for me, this is probably around number 4. It's about 4 for me.
What are your top 3 again? So Miles,
Spider-Man. So Into Spider-Verse, Tobey's Spider-Man 1 and 2. Okay. And then this one. Like, I just didn't love, like, I appreciate Andrew Garfield. Like, I definitely would say the first Andrew Garfield one is probably number 5. But, or maybe not even that one. Maybe the second one. The second one's probably number 5 because that's when Gwen dies. And I think he gets really, I really don't remember him. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember his Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man's other than Gwen dies. That's it.
Yeah.
And him sitting in class in a beanie looking 35.
I kind of don't like for this one. I see it as a very different film, and it's more of like a reflective film. It's a kind of semi self critique of, and as well as reflective live action Sonyverse thing. But for me, it's still Into the Spider-Verse is top. Like, I think that's one of my favorite superhero films of all time, as well as just a really well done, nearly like perfect Spider-Man movie. But I do actually like the Homecoming Spider-Man movie. Like, I would actually place on 2. I
forgot about those two. Those two.
I like the first 2 Spider-Man films with Tobey Maguire, but I feel like I see them through a different lens now. Like, they have a certain like kind of it shows part of its age now. Like, it's very hokey, like very, all right, I gotta put them, like, it's very of the time 2000s movie, but I still enjoy it for what it is. I don't hate it or anything. I think I was obsessed with Spider-Man when that movie came out, so it's definitely like in a top spot. But Into the Spider-Verse for me is still it's beaming number 1 for me on every level.
No Way Home?
Huh? Yeah.
Your list.
Wait, No Way Home? I can't put it on the list. I don't like. I can't put it on. I see it as a separate, completely different. It's like a summary.
I forgot that Tony Stark was in Homecoming, so I'm gonna have to rate Homecoming above No Way Home because I love Iron Man and his relationship with Peter. Yeah, in this MCU Peter, but yeah,
I like the villain in Homecoming. Like, that was a good way to bring about.
Oh yeah, wasn't that was Michael Keaton?
Yep, Michael Keaton, and then like then it being like, I feel like it was kind of smooth and funny, not having you not expect that Michael Keaton's character was going to be the father of
the girl.
Yeah, and they played on that with society, but that was a really interesting way of like being like, you're not going to expect this, surprise, he's the sorry.
Yeah, I would love for her to come back as like Black Cat.
Yeah,
I would love for her to come back as a villain. I think that would be super dope. Yeah. But yeah. So I guess we're, we arguably and understandably we spent most of our time on Spider-Man No Way Home. So we will come back next week and chat about Hawkeye and potentially Peacemaker. And yeah, do you ladies have any final thoughts you want to send our viewers home with?
4D is great. Watch it in 4D if you can. I don't know if I can ever watch a movie in 4D anymore. I was a little bit worried.
An action movie, yeah.
Action
movies always belong in 4D.
I kind of want to watch. I kind of regret. Like, I'm glad I watched it in traditional IMAX, but I also wanted to see it a second time because I went to go see the Eternals in 4D, and I'm like, all right, I gotta see either bad films in 4D or films I've seen once before. But it is a totally like, it was way more intense than I ever thought would be. Like, I've regretted having 3D glasses seeing it in 4D.
For Eternal,
every rock movie should be seen in 4D.
Yes.
Every single Dwayne Johnson movie should be seen in 4:3. I have seen
why?
2 of his movies in 4 because they're all action and they're all amazing.
Including Jungle
in
Cruise?
4D.
Oh, I guess not. Jungle Cruise.
Well,
right?
yeah, I didn't see. Well, Jungle Cruise came out during the height of the
river.
Delta, so I did not see that. But I can tell you, I saw. Hold on to your sodas. If you're going to 4D, make sure you drink on a quiet scene.
Don't bring
quiet
food.
scene. Do not drink your soda when something is about to explode, because I drank my soda during Mission Impossible when the car rolled over 19 times, and that was not a good scene.
Oh no!
That was not a good look. It was not a good look. It was not. And I had a big one. I had a big drink.
They got extra. They got extra 4D effects from your soda. So
yeah, there was not supposed to be water in that scene, and there was.
Oh man! Yeah, I do gotta say thank you, Catherine, for warning me about that, because I did drink like my beer halfway through, and it was the popcorn before it got into. I mean, the trailers leading up to the movie was like a hot mess. I was like, oh, I don't know if I could watch this movie like this. But the movies, it was normalized, and yeah, I'm glad I would have had that same fate had I not been warned.
I don't see it in 3D either because the glasses will fall off. But in Eternals, it was pretty intense. Like everything was constantly moving.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for hanging with us. We had a delightful time catching up. Welcome, glad to be back here with Origins Illustrated. Let's see. Please follow us here on YouTube. You just what is it? Geekish Network. You just Google, or not even Google, just look us up in YouTube and Geekish Network, and you will usually find out our show that we have that is streaming live. If you would love what we're doing, please consider subscribing to our channel. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link your account and subscribe to us using Prime Gaming on Twitch. It costs you nothing, but it helps us out. And please subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as we're also on Facebook. Yes, like us on Facebook.
Yep. Follow the Geekish Network. So
yeah, and if you guys have any thoughts or about Spider-Man, if you have any even opinions on what we thought, like tell us what you thought about the movie. Which one's your favorite? What was nitpicky to you, or what are the things that you loved about it or surprised you? We'd love to hear.
Or if you can give us some answers to our nitpicks, and you're like, oh no, here's a caveat. Look at it this way. We would appreciate that.
Yeah. And theories. If any theories you have about any of the upcoming like Spider-Man connection to the theories, throw us theories.
Yes. And hey, just drop in the chat sometime, or drop if you're looking at our video, if whatever comic book you're reading, if you can give us any suggestions on comic books you think would be great, that you love, that you encourage us to read, and maybe our viewers to check out, just let us know.
Basically, tell us all the things. Even tell us how
all the things.
All the things. Yeah. As long as we saw us in 4D, just don't bring drinks.
Just don't bring drinks. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Have a great Thursday. Good night. Bye.
Great Thursday.